Hey, what is happening? This is Jerry here with Wealth Dynamics, coming at you live in the dark, leaving my office at 9:06 p.m. And ironically, I'm coming at you tonight with a video on, is there such a thing as working too much? Can you work too much? Can you overwork? That's the question I'm asking tonight. Now, the reason I'm asking this question is because I think it's a legitimate question. I think it's a question that a lot of people wonder about. I think it's something that, a lot of people are unsure of what the boundary really is. And because of that, they tiptoe around it. They never really commit to not working. They never really commit to working. Now, I used to believe in strict work boundaries. So I was like, man, there's days where I'm going to literally do no work. I'm going to be, just completely uninvolved, unplugged, and just relax and enjoy my time and have fun. Now, what I realized was, man, trying to not do work was work. I was exerting myself still. Why did I feel like I was still exerting myself if I was having my day off? Or if it was when I got off work and I got done, like let's say it's 6 p.m. or whatever number I made up, and I was like, man, I'm going to be done at work at 6. I would intentionally try not to work, and that was exertion. That was work. Now, what I realized again was I had to understand what work actually meant. Now, a lot of us think work means a job. A lot of us believe work means a job. You clock in and you put in your time and you do your job, and once you're done with your job, you're done working. If you go in the dictionary, I think there's 82 different definitions of work. So what does that mean? Nobody can agree on what the hell work means. I like going to the etymology. If you look up where the root of the word work came from, it means finishing. Finishing a cycle of action. Now, when you put it in that perspective, I don't believe that there's such a thing as too much work. I don't believe that there's such a thing as finishing too many cycles of action. I believe the real problem is that people don't finish things. They start things and leave them halfway done and never actually commit and go deep enough to get good at it or to finish it, and because of that, they feel exhausted. Because they don't actually get stuff done, that's why they feel tired. That's why they feel they need a day off. And I would agree, you do need a day off from not finishing your crap. You do need a day off from saying you're going to do things, getting them done halfway, and then not actually doing it. You need lots of days off from that. You should never do that again. That's the realization I came to. So and this also answers the question on what about work-life balance? Life should be about starting cycles of action and finishing them. There's no such thing as balance with that. Finish what you start. That's your life. You start a relationship, see it through. You start a business, see it through. You start a conversation, see it through. The only time you start looking for balance is when you're distracted. When your stuff's not aligned, when your life is going in separate directions all at the same time, when you're investing your time into things and people that don't align with your purpose, you got to execute those. Get rid of them. Cut them off. Take them out. Unemotional. Just get rid of it because it doesn't help you. So there's no such thing as too much work. Work is a cycle of action being finished. There's no such thing as too much of that. There's no such thing as work-life balance. It's going all in on your purpose and then making sure that everything you do is aligned. Really, it's not even deep stuff. Think about when you have anything that's not aligned. Let's say you're dressing for a business event and you wear the wrong shoes. Your whole outfit is right and your shoes are wrong. That means you're not aligned. You know it. Everyone else knows it. That dude wore brown shoes when he should have wore black shoes. That's unaligned. Or you're in a relationship and whenever you go to work, your significant other says, "Why are you going there? You work too much. You need to come home. We need to have us time." That's work. That's a cycle of action. And if your cycle of action doesn't match with his or her cycle of action, maybe you shouldn't keep the cycle of action. You might need to finish that cycle of action. But guys, my point tonight is get your life figured out and aligned. And when you do that, you don't feel like you're working. If you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling out of balance, if you're feeling like you need to unplug, it means that your life is not aligned. It's not going in the same direction. You've got the gas and the brake on at the same time. And because of that, you feel exhausted. Rightfully so, you should be that way. You should feel that way if that's what you're doing. Now, when you get it aligned, it's not work slamming the gas down. When you don't have the brakes and there's no resistance, but the only time it feels like work is A, you've got resistance, which means there's no alignment. You've got people or things in your life that are pulling you in different directions than you know you need to go to. Or B, you don't have enough fuel, which means your goals aren't big enough. The payoff on what you're doing is not large enough for you to say, man, this makes sense. I'm going to put in the work. A lot of people look at me and they're like, man, Jerry works too much. I do work a lot, but I finish my cycles of action. My goals are big enough. I know what the payoff is. And so I don't look at it and say, hey, this isn't worth it. I need to unplug. I don't have people in my life that don't get it. The ones that don't get it, like, it's just the natural progression of polarizing. Like, I'm doing this, they're doing that. We don't hate each other. We don't do anything. We don't talk. We don't hang out. If I see them and I'm going to be nice, I'm going to help them. We're just different levels of energy, so we don't associate the same. Because of that, it doesn't feel like work. So my advice, and this is to myself too, look for anything that's not aligned with where you're going and look at it and figure out, am I willing to commit to the resistance that this thing or this person will create in my life if I don't get rid of it? Look at the cycles of action you're starting and ask yourself, am I willing to finish these? And if you're not, don't start them. Like, don't start things you don't commit to finishing. And then I want you to look at your goals and say, man, the goals that I'm living for, this one's big, by the way, the goals that I'm living for, is the payoff big enough for me to actually commit to overdoing it with these goals? Anything that's worth it is worth overdoing. Think about breathing. You don't breathe just once. You don't try and balance your breathing. You breathe whenever the hell you want to. Sleeping, like, you sleep. You don't worry about, like, is my sleep balanced? You're tired, you sleep. Your life should be the same way. So are my goals big enough? Now, if your goal is pay off my house, or pay off my vehicle, or have no credit cards, or retire when I'm 60 so I can quit, like, you need to really analyze, like, is that the payoff? If your goal is balance, the only way you get balance is by standing still. No such thing. Standing still is death. Like, you're done at that point. You shouldn't have the goal of dying. Life's never going to stand still. So guys, I hope that helps you. I know I jumped around to a few different points, but all of these align to say there's no such thing as too much work. There's no such thing as too much of having an aligned life, too much of having goals that are worth the payoff, and too much of finishing whatever cycle of action it takes that you've committed to make those goals happen. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Have a fantastic night. I'll talk to you guys next time.